Welcome back to the Greenhorn Photo Taker. It's New Year's Eve. We're in the heart of winter for some waterfall photography at Childs Park. It has been a while. I am at George W. Childs Park in Pennsylvania right now. I've been away through a combination of busy weekends and a lack of inspiration, to be completely frank. But I realized today, or actually yesterday, that the days are getting brighter. And I couldn't help but come out in this 22, 23 degree cold weather day and see Childs Park in the snow. Hopefully I have this entire place to myself because the parking lot is closed. So I found a likely enough spot on the side of the road and just walked in through the woods. So I think the goal today though is the snowfall that has dropped. We've already had a warm spell. It's rehardened. There's a lot of debris on top of the snow. So I don't know that I'll get an absolutely beautiful snow-wide landscape, but I do think it's plausible to get something close in. Maybe something black and white. I have my micro spikes on. The conditions here are honestly a little treacherous, so we will make sure to stay away from the edge of things. All right, here is our first waterfall. Honestly, I don't remember the name of it. And do I love the shot? No. I was hoping for a little bit more ice. I do see some ice, on this side. Definitely some in the middle there. I've got the Sony 24-105 on, as well as a circular polarizer. Although I think I'm a little bit too low of an angle to really have an effective use of the polarizer. All right, I think for my final composition, I want to try to get maybe that 3-tier cascade right there. Something along the lines of that. And that way, if there is any water flow at the bottom when I use a long exposure, that'll be apparent, and I can still see some of these icicles dripping down on both sides. Not a perfect picture by any means, but I think it'll do. Let's give that a shot. So this is quite sensational. I'm going to spend a few minutes here and try to really capture something close up and pristine. The water flow is probably a bit too strong for what I'm picturing in my mind, but we'll see what we can get to work. There's so much ice. There's got to be a composition here that I really love. I'm excited. So the problem here on this next shot, I guess, is a couple of things. One, that tree is just so annoying. The way they have this deck positioned, there really isn't a natural straight-on angle to view the falls. So everything seems like it's a little off-kilter. So that's forcing me to get up a little bit closer. Also, the sun just came out. Luckily, it is the low-angle winter sun. Like in the summer, this shot would be truly impossible. But maybe, just maybe, zoomed in close, one of those falls will look brighter than the other, which normally I don't like. But there's a chance that could look pretty great. So I'm going to try to capture this ice, these two falls, and this ice. It may end up being better as a square photo, but I'm going to try it as a 3x2 for now. I can always crop it later. Really beautiful morning. So here's another view that I don't quite like as much, but I'm going to fire off an exposure or two just in case it looks better in post. It just doesn't interest me. Let me zoom out a bit. Maybe as a square. It just doesn't interest me as much. Ideally, maybe something squared up like this, where I can see some of this ice formations behind the flowing water and still capture these icicles on the right. Maybe something like that. If I pan down, there is some good flow here. But again, this tree is in the way. So I can't really go too far down. Whew, it's cold, but hopefully worth it. I really liked some of those photos, and I believe that was Fulmer Falls. One thing, I couldn't set up the GoPro. There was no real spot to record myself taking the shots, but one thing I did end up doing is swapping out the circular polarizer for a ND filter, and I think really increasing the exposure to make the waterfall flow pop even more did the trick. So we'll see. You never know until you get in post. I have a bad habit of overexposing a small section of the falls that ruins the picture entirely. Hopefully I did not do that this time. The next stop is Deer Leap Falls, which I believe was in my last outdoor video, but that's okay. I've never seen it in the snow, so this will be new to me as well as to you. And boy, did I luck out with the, I forget if I mentioned it already, but the parking lot was closed. So I had to park on the side of the road and walk in. And I guess it closes every winter just to have less people here. This is kind of treacherous. And because that parking lot is closed, there is just nobody here. Woo-wee. I have the place to myself, which I do so much better recording video in that environment. As I've mentioned countless times before, I don't mind the tripod out and taking pictures with people watching. Even starting the occasional conversation. But recording myself with audio, with people around, still not something I can do. And oh wow. Wow, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Wait till you see that. So I'm picturing two shots here. One is this kind of from the straight on angle. I've got a little room to work with, but not much. I want some of this water in the foreground. And then of course all the way up to the top of the falls, but I don't think I want that bridge. If that bridge was perpendicular, sure, include it. But that's such an odd angle. But where I'm having a little bit of problem is, do I include this pretty great green here? I don't know if that's, I can't tell what type of foliage that is or vegetation that is. But the minute I include that, I'm so wide, I kind of lose the dramatic feel of the falls, and there's some crap over here too. If it was not the winter, I could go into the stream to my left and solve this, but I'm not going to stand in a few inches of water when it's 20 degrees out or so. So I'm gonna mess around with this composition. I see another one over to my right, which I'll move to in a second, but I almost wonder if this hump of snow would be cool to have in the foreground right in front of the falls. So I could stand pretty far back and get a zoomed in shot of the hump of snow along with those falls. So let's see what I come up with. This is really great. Of course, what stands out here and why I want it zoomed in, I should have said that, you cannot lose this ice formation. I mean, that has to be part of the centerpiece. That's what makes this interesting in the winter. Otherwise, it's the same photos you can see almost any other time of the year. So I really want to focus in and get zoomed in on the ice. And I guess I just talked myself into who cares about the vegetation. So let's try a square shot, as much as the river as I can include, while keeping the falls right in focus, right in the middle of the frame, zoomed in as much as possible. Whew, I'm starting to struggle with the cold toes right now. So we may have to wrap this up a little bit earlier than I anticipated. This shot here is arguably my favorite of the year. We'll have to see how it looks back in post, but man, this is a really picturesque waterfall. So, I guess this is why I'm cold. I'm constantly sitting in the snow. But this is where we'll end it. I had a blast today. It's great to be back out here. Thanks so much for watching. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you more in 2026. Thanks for watching. Get out and explore.